Oh, it's good to see you again.
Within your cards, I would say.
So it's like one of these scenarios where it's very interesting on what you want to do. Dr. Boomins are coming down, so they're very safe, but you know, now they're very far away from being able to kill their opponent.
All right, it looks like we did actually have an issue with the match earlier on where Laval had a mouse malfunction. And it looks like we might even have to replay the match because they weren't able to finish their turn correctly. So we're having the admins of the tournament sort that out right now and talk to the players to get their opinions. But would be a little unfortunate, but, you know, these things happen, and nothing we could really do at that point.
I believe they're consulting right now because, I mean, there is something to be said with replaying the game. First of all, you know what type of deck it is. It could have easily been swung as Zoo, which is a very viable deck these days.
In-game boss, you have those valuable cards in all of your slots in the mid-game. So sometimes you don't need it, but usually against slower decks, control decks, you eventually have to rely on that burst.
This turn looked a lot easier, I think, than it actually was for Laval, because something they really have to consider as being a major threat is Big Game Hunter. The Malygos Warlock decks oftentimes will run 2 copies of Big Game Hunter, and so when you jam Mysterious Challenger onto this board, if you do not use your minions in a value way, you can often get completely turned over by a single Big Game Hunter. So the fact that they chose to trade this Azure Drake, I really liked. But then because they know they want to trade, they have the debate of whether or not they want to use Muster for battling Coghammer, whether Coghammer Noble Sacrifice hero power. They had a lot of decisions to make, and wow, right off the top.
Hello.
That was huge. Although the load that does come back as a 5-1 if Redemption has been pulled, and it has. We saw 4 out of 5. There's always that possibility that maybe Redemption wasn't pulled. Instead, it was the Repentance. And we do know that Noble Sacrifice also is likely to be pulled, so you can take this damage, but that's okay. You know, the fact that you still are able to squeeze in this life tap is huge. You can continue to build up the board while being able to have a lot of responses to whatever your opponent does.
Yeah, really the big story here is that Santa Barbara, on top of really getting over one of the biggest swings from this turn, is that they have options for next turn as well. So Laval, another strong turn for them with Dr. Boom here. But is that going to be enough to continue to run away with this game?
I mean, outside of those, we saw that there was...
Barbara, just hope everything goes right.
Doomsayer? Oh, okay. I thought you meant that desperation.
Oh, no, that's exactly kind of that's where I was leading it to, kind of.
And then do they Soulfire first to get everything cleared guaranteed?
Well, yeah, they're going for it.
I offer Malygos as a sacrifice. Malygos, I offer as tribute. And...
Not today.
Well, that's actually not bad of a result, to be honest. But it's not what you're looking for. You need to play the dragon. Oh.
Yeah, that's going to end
it. Yeah, you can't really stop it. Because it hit the face, the weapon would be enough. Dr. Boom would get past the taunt. So that's going to wrap it up for game 2. At best, you're cycling.
Yeah, and I wonder if Santa Barbara, are they worried about second brawl here, maybe? I mean, with that attack, they're certainly not worried about it.
No way.
Santa Barbara says, you know what? You got to clear the board, and you got to clear it right now.
Because that is a lot of damage. You can't even fit a Force of Nature onto that board.
So how much can they clear off here? Can they get out of range? Baron Geddon would remove everything. Well, no. Baron Geddon would pretty much... They could use Shield Slam and then Baron Geddon. So it would leave the Azure Drake on the board since you wouldn't be able to find a way to get that cool Taskmaster past the taunt.
Well, we're about to see problem number 2 here for Laval. So, I mean, they obviously take care of a lot of this board position. Things look okay for them. That was a 4 damage Boombot too. Initially, I was going to say the Big Game Hunter hitting the Baron Geddon is actually one of the better targets because Baron Geddon following up to the Big Game Hunter will remove that 4-2 body. But in this position, Santa Barbara doesn't even have to do anything about the Baron Geddon. They just get to push damage, add another minion to board.
Yeah,
they're probably just going to charge this thing and go in the face. That's exactly what they're doing.
Why wouldn't you at this point? You have your opponent in the 13 with combo in hand.
Right, but again, the whole point is it's not even the Force of Nature in the Savage War that really matters. It's again, how do you deal with the pending board pressure? And here's something to add insult to injury. Revenge is a card that activates for a special bonus damage if it has 12 health or lower, and you're at 13. So not only is it a tough matchup, you also happen to be at the exact health that doesn't trigger your spell.
Santa Barbara planned this revenge being at 13 instead of 12. Perfectly mapped game from them.
My God.
Genius. Revenge is the perfectly named card, though, because when you're playing against like aggro decks and you get below that health threshold and they think they have you, You play, clear their board.
Yeah,
It's a perfect name.
It's desperation for Laval. They have to just hope that things work out their way. I mean, eventually you're going to have to take a risk. And this is really the first opportunity they've found to even take a risk. And Santa Barbara has the punish right away.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the tough matchup that we knew was going to be favoring Santa Barbara. And so far, everything's been going according to plan for our Western team. And they are one game away from going to the grand finals.
Yeah, they would face off against Ohio State. Now, one thing to note also is UC Santa Barbara, their one deck left remaining is Warlock, which is probably the most flexible class that you could have as that third one. And there you go, there's the victory screen.
So low and their opponent has so many cards, and they didn't really have necessarily the strongest follow-up pressure to say something like Reno Jackson, that I think it's fine to just get going and hope that you draw well afterwards. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it. I mean, I could definitely see holding it, but I could definitely see using it too.
If they draw Savage Roar, it makes that happen one turn earlier, which could be the difference. Like, say they had coined out a 7-drop the following turn. But Reno Jackson is played, so brings it back up to 30. They didn't have an opportunity to play the Molten Giant before that happened. So that's going to be useful later on. They can pair it with the Defender of Argus as sort of an emergency play. UC Santa Barbara, even though there's a big board staring at them, they're not looking too bad, and the Shadow Flame is picked up.
That is a huge draw for Santa Barbara right now. I mean, the fact that they can clear the front half of the Pilot Shredder and sweep this board out and have a minion to play back behind this. And it's a Darnassus Aspirant, so a Mana Crystal gets eaten as well.
Things just went terribly for Laval after that play. That is absolutely brutal. You know, that one mana probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but it'll delay, you know, playing a 5-drop and a 4-drop one turn later. But again, playing it safe, making sure that, hey, we've already been fortunate enough to be in this position where we have an empty board. Let's not throw it away by playing too risky.
Which is somewhat allowing Druid to have relevance onto the board as well. You know, there's always this interesting balance of, am I playing too safe? Like, am I playing not to lose or playing to win? And something to consider with UC Santa Barbara's turns, because they're very far ahead, but there are ways to play too conservative to give Druid a chance. Now, with this draw here in the Lotheb, that does shut off the Force Nature Savage Roar, but again, the rest of your mana is not efficiently used. This is all the heaviest cards from the Warlock deck in the hand. It's the Lord Jiraxis, the Mal'Ganis, and with no Void Caller to pull it out and smooth in it, it's a little bit hard. It's not as clear-cut as you might think.
Yeah, and it seems like UC Santa Barbara, they were using their mouse to map out their plays. It seems like they wanted to trade off the board and then Hellfire.
Not bad.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Dark Bomb's a pretty good pickup here.
And that's a really good outcome up the Shredder as well, because now Swipe can't fully clear the board. You get to cost 9 mana, and you can't really deal with the Lotheb afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, this is that Dark Bomb pickup was so crucial this game, because they would have had to sacrifice that 5-3 in order to get it done.
There we go.
There's the Ancient of Lore, though. I mean, these are some big draws coming up. I mean, it's not the greatest chance in the world. There's the first Innervate and Swipe afterwards.
That was probably the last turn, I think, that you could not draw an Ancient of Lore.
I totally agree with you. I mean, that was really the big turn for it. So, once again, Santa Barbara, they have ways to continue to answer this board, but they haven't really gotten the pressure going so far this game.
That's right.
And they're at 18 health, and with Big Game Hunter sitting behind those boombots after BGH comes out, and Mal'Ganis is that tool that can save you from combo later in the game. I feel like if you are going to play a big threat, then Dr. Boom plus King Boss is going to be better, but they go with the Mal'Ganis.
They're playing around double Force of Nature Savage Roar, and it ends up being the exact case there.
I don't know if they can protect themselves from this, though. I mean, look at the board state at the moment. It's a 4-2 versus nothing right now. They have access to 22 next turn. There's no Taunt or Heal in Santa Barbara's hand.
They could just put him down to 14 right now. They don't even need the double combo. I mean, of course, Jiraxis could bring it back up to 15, but
Santa Barbara's got to draw something to get out of this spot.
Wow.
It's difficult because they've played Lotheb, they've played Sludge Belcher, they've played the Mal'Ganis, they've played a Defender of Argus.
Yeah, they're even going to go with the swipe here.
I believe their best chance... No, they can't even really squeeze.
I don't think they can win now.
Antique Healbot doesn't even get him out of this spot now.
Don't even think they can.
Well, unless we see something else being life tapped here, that will be the end of the game just because of that Ancient of Lore. We're talking about the timing of it, Admirable. That was the turn.
I mean, Ancient of Lore is such a critical card in these late game situations. You need the extra body. You need the extra cards. Santa Barbara, I think, playing as defensively as they did, might have given Laval the time for this, but it's hard to, I mean, any way you play it, there's going to be different outcomes on both sides of it. It's just a matter of the way the cards fall. Laval gets just enough time to squeeze in this Force of Nature Savage Roar.
They stay
They're going to
alive.
send this to game number 5.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head, Admirable. By playing so conservatively, they given an opportunity for Druid to climb back into it, and that's one of the big comeback mechanisms as well. Santa Barbara obviously not happy at all with that outcome, but you know what? I mean, for justification, they see their opponents had second Savage Roar, so to them, they might feel, oh yeah, like we played around a double combo the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a tough combination of cards to play around. Wow. I mean, Druid is just, it's a deck that you
Use for those awkward threats that don't fit in that 7+ attack threshold.
Yeah, I mean, the Siphon Soul to me tells me that the only thing they're thinking about is how do we lose in the most desperate of situations.
Yes.
And I think that just the Sun Fury Protector is gonna have enough to keep you protected through this. I mean, I don't really see a reason to do much else outside of that.
I mean, 13 health is still pretty safe.
Yeah.
Warrior can't do 13. They can do 12, which is, good enough for a silver medal, or in this case, a bronze.
Wow, they're going with the antique heal bot, maybe? Okay,
and
so
that's going to load up a really good second brawl here.
yes, the brawl that they've seen is what's really indicating that they can go for this extra pressure if that's what they choose to do.
They have time? Okay, they're going to play it.
Yeah, they chose to go with the heal bot here just to add pressure to the board.
Okay.
And this is the second brawl now for Laval, and there's no demon behind the Void Caller, so maybe this is a way they can recover
The
this.
thing is, they can refill the board so easily.
Oh, look, Laval went for killing the Void Caller into brawl.
And that means that they can't actually develop a minion behind that brawl with Sludge Belcher, which would have additionally set up a potential threat for lethal. So, I was telling you, man, I think Void Caller is one of the most interesting cards in Hearthstone because of this opportunity of information being withheld of how you've played your hand the entire game. Effectively, because of the way they played Jiraxis, that Void Caller was a bluff for many turns.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Sludge Belcher is going to be the play. I don't
The
think
metagame call with other weird tech choice like Tournament Medic. However, with cards like Alex Straza in the deck, I would have to be hard-pressed to think that it's actually in here.
I have no time for games.
So, with even though we do joke at times, like maybe he has Deathwing, I'm not sure that's the case here.
Yeah.
15 points of damage available for Santa Barbara right now, but the bigger story is that they have complete control over this. They can even take the opposing Sylvanas by killing off their own Sylvanas here.
Yep, I don't mind, because again, second brawl has been used, so they can't build up against a board.
Another 6/6 is going to be created too, even after they steal the Sylvanas. I think that's got to be the nail in the coffin.
I mean, it's got to be, like, Deathwing has to be drawn, basically, if it's even in the
no,
deck.
because it gets stolen.
Oh, it gets stolen by the Sylvanas,
You
you're
can't
right!
even play it.
So you need something else. Is there anything other option?
James Franco,
Nefarian?
a card
I mean,
that does everything.
Revenge. Oh, sorry. I was going to say like a Revenge, and then you could have like shield block Revenged again. Like, those are options as well.
Nefarian, Sacrificial
enough.
Pact, and then Twisting Nether as the two cards.
That's actually kind of funny. That's
And
a pretty
Revenge number
legitimate
1
out.
was there to
Yeah.
a certain degree, but that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, they're going to throw out the last couple cards here as they...
Nah, there's 24 damage, and they're going to be at 22.
That's it, Santa
So
Barbara.
Santa Barbara is going to the grand finals here of the Collegiate Hearthstone Championship to face off against Ohio State for the right to call themselves the champions.
Yeah, I mean, the well-timed Jiraxis is really what this was about.
More like the well-timed Reno Jackson.
Reno Jackson. Reno Jackson value. It's not often that you get to play it at full health when you win a game, but there you go. Congratulations